I'm going to say is that she minimized it to where it was like no big deal. The truth is it completely divided our family. I mean, we had a very intense hour-plus long meeting with my parents, and obviously it was super troubling because my father immediately declared Pete to be innocent.
Listeners say the recordings appear to reveal emotional confrontations, pressure behind the scenes, and statements that many Christians found deeply disturbing. Some, the conversations exposed what they believe is a culture where loyalty to leadership mattered more than accountability to truth. And perhaps most alarming of all, the recordings have forced many believers to ask a difficult question. What happens when spiritual authority stops looking like servant leadership and starts looking like control? Tonight, we're breaking down the recordings, the backlash, and why this controversy has become one of the most talked about disputes surrounding modern Christian media.
Obviously, it was super troubling because my father immediately declared Pete to be innocent and didn't even listen to me or Susie's concerns. He just said, I've been falsely accused before. I know what that feels like. And so again, he just went into protect and damage control mode. And, but yeah, we were completely divided, as a family, for, several weeks.
Yeah. So she's acting like it was not a big deal. From when Jonathan came down the stairs and Pete was behind, Pete was shivering, shaking. Yeah. I really feel like Pete was so vulnerable. And it was me and Rebecca, JW, we were out by the patio and we were terrified. We had never seen Jonathan like this. So we go right down to the basement, and it was one of the most shocking moments of my life because we go down to the basement. I was expecting, Marcus and Joni to say, whoa, okay, tell us your side. Let's get to, that's what I expected.
Right.
But it wasn't.
No.
It was immediate. I declare Pete innocent. And I remember the strength in just leaving my body, like, what is happening?
Yeah.
We felt so helpless.
Yeah.
We were made to sit down.
Such a traumatic time, and for them to have no empathy and just to completely dismiss it as nothing.
Well, because so before this vacation, to give people a little more context, a lot of other things have been happening at Daystar where a child was scared.
Yeah.
He would enter the room and she would just hide and shake. And, other family members told me he was kissing her when I was in there and she was terrified. So a lot of incidents were building up to where I finally, when I was alone with Miss Denise Boggs, got to confide in her. And she said, oh, wow, this is looking this way. I know you don't want to go there, put your mind there because you could, you're taking the weight of this family.
Right.
But I remember that conversation, but we have to talk about some things.
Right.
So on this vacation, I was honestly even scared to go, but she said, just be extra vigilant. For people who wonder why we would allow our child on the third floor while we're on the first floor, it was a pattern. Every year on vacation, the girls wanted beachfront rooms. And we were told, this is your sacrifice unto God. Take whatever. So back kitchen room, guest room, whatever room we would just take.
Yeah.
And the second floor had the really nice beachfront rooms. Third floor had the bunk beds. So it made sense for the kids. And, looking back, obviously I would do things differently. But back then we were like, okay, we'll just take this little road.
What began as a private conflict inside Daystar Television Network has now exploded into something far more serious. For many critics, this controversy is no longer just about family tension. It has become a disturbing example of what can happen when spiritual power operates without accountability. The recordings involving Joni Lamb, Jonathan Lamb, and Susie Lamb have triggered outrage across Christian audiences because many believe they exposed a culture built more on control than biblical leadership. And for many listeners, the real issue was not simply the argument itself, it was the attitude behind it. According to critics, the conversations painted a picture where disagreement was treated like disloyalty and personal conviction was expected to bow to leadership demands. Reports claim the conflict intensified after Susie Lamb refused to publicly support comments surrounding Joni Lamb's relationship with Doug Weiss. Supporters say Susie stood by what she believed was biblically right, while critics argue the response she received appeared focused on forcing compliance rather than encouraging honest spiritual dialogue. If this story made you think differently about leadership and accountability in the church, share your thoughts below. And if you believe truth should never be silenced to protect influence, make sure you subscribe and stay connected for more conversations like this.